Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren from Heavenly Handspinning, as Lindsay introduced me earlier, and we are in Hickory, North Carolina. We're a small local spinning company, and if you were present yesterday, you probably saw Taylor Robert as well doing this crouch demonstration, and there's a drum carter behind me that she did a quick demo on yesterday. And I will, before we get started, I just want to show.
Oh yes, the bat.
Yeah, there was a high demand for
You
seeing
want
the
to
bat
see?
that she worked on. Oh gosh, I don't want to catch it. It turned out so pretty, but do you want to switch to the overhead, Taylor?
Ooh,
We'll
look at
switch our cameras around real
that.
quick. Taylor did this yesterday for us in the demo, so
Ooh. Good job,
super
Taylor.
fluffy. She's
Is,
like,
is
good
Taylor
job.
there? Sorry.
Yeah, she is.
I just
She
want to say
put
good
on top
job.
of it.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, extra fluffy. So I know a lot of people requested to see this after the demo yesterday, so I just wanted to give the people what they wanted and
Thank you.
show that off a little bit. So while the camera's down here, I'll just go ahead and show you guys what I'm going to be demoing today. So this, I'm going to kind of tilt it up so you can see, is our Excelsior spinning wheel. And it's an e-spinner, which is really nice. Previously, when I was a long-time spinner on a Ashford traditional, and coming from that, this is very nice. I think I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. I did Spinzilla one year with TNNA, and it's like a week-long spinning competition, and you're on teams, and it's super fun. But I wish I would have had an e-spinner instead of a regular treadle wheel when I was doing the spinning contest, because it just makes it so much easier. But so the cool thing about the Excelsior wheel is that, I'll try to do this without destroying my yarn. So this side is going to be your Scotch tension, and then you can flip your flyer and bobbin around, and this side is Irish tension. So it's a really, really cool wheel. We also do carry just the Scotch and Irish wheels as well. So that way, if you have a preference for one or the other, or you want to do both, we've got a wheel for you. And I know Taylor and I hopped into the craft night earlier this week, and we had some people, and it's also a common question that we get asked about, what is the difference between Scotch, Irish tension? Why does it matter? Why do I need it? So especially if you're just starting out, I feel like it seems kind of daunting to go full in and you just have a million types of wheels and there's all these options. So what we usually tell people is that it really just depends on the type of fiber that you want, not the type of fiber, excuse me, the type of weight of fiber that you want to spin. So for example, today, and usually most of the time, I spin really fine weight yarns, like fingering weight, or I say fingering weight, but it's usually as close as I can get to fingering weight because I do not have perfect fiber drafting tension. So sometimes there's little bits and blobs in there. But usually I like to spin a really small weight yarn because typically I will apply it afterwards and it gets a lot fluffier. So I just try to get it as small as I can originally, and then hopefully after it's applied, it's a little bit closer to fingering weight, but not quite to perfection just yet. But so with the Scotch tension, that's what you're going to want to use for a finer weight yarn. It is a flyer lead tension. So if you can see here on the Scotch side, this drive band that's coming off the side of the wheel is attached directly onto the flyer, and that gives you a lot more twist in your yarn. So smaller weight yarns, typically you want a lot of twist just for that strength. If you've ever looked at yarns, maybe in a yarn store, or that you've spun yourself, the bulky weight yarns have a really loose twist and they're just super fluffy. And that's just because they are probably typically going to be spun Irish weight. So for Scotch, a little bit more twist, a little bit more strength. And then if we were to spin on the Irish side, you would flip this. Well, it's hooked up now. We can do a little demo of that at the end. But you would take this flyer off, just rotate it around, and then your drive band here goes into this little groove in the bobbin, and that gives you your bobbin lead tension, which is Irish. So we would recommend that for a little bit heavier yarns. All of our standard wheels are this size, the same size as the Excelsior. And once you get into spinning bulkier yarns like chunky weight, bulky weight, things like that, we would probably recommend going up to one of our XXL models. That's just got an inch orifice, let's see, in the flyer here. So that's going to be a lot wider and give you a lot more space for like really bulky yarns, especially if you're doing an art yarn or something that has a lot of super fun additives in there. So I'll show you guys a quick little spin. And one thing before we get started that I like to do, and feel free if anybody has any questions, just let me know. But typically, so today I'm spinning a little bit of merino, but typically when you get roving, sometimes it looks like this. This is just like a huge ball, and they can kind of come in these little lengths of roving. And so a lot of times, if I'm spinning a really small weight yarn, I kind of do like a little pre-draft, and I'll just pull and split that roving in half. And then if you're doing even smaller yarn, you can split it again. And so that basically just helps you. I find for me personally, it helps me to not give in so much fiber when I'm spinning, and it kind of keeps it all already small. And I've prepped, I'll show you guys, just a couple pieces here that have already been divided off and split up just to make it a little bit easier and faster. And really, it's just personal preference. I know some people will just spin straight from the roving like that. I know Taylor, who you guys saw yesterday, she does a pre-draft where she will even pull her roving ahead of time and kind of space it out. So like it's one of those things where you have a lot of room for doing your own thing. So I've already gotten started here a little bit just because sometimes it can take me a minute to get going. But on our flyers, you'll see we have these super slider hooks. And so that's basically just an easy way to move your yarn up and down the bobbin. So you can see here I have my yarn going through, and I can move that down once this space gets filled up, which makes it really fun if you have a gradient color, because you can kind of segment where your yarn is going. And I actually spun a little bit of this yesterday, so you can see trying to make it look, each color gets its own spot on the way down. So we're going to get started here. I've got our Whisper Junior controller, and this is just a speed control. It's really nice because, you know, there's no treadling. Everything is done right at your hands. You don't have to, you know, have a bunch of space taken up by a big wheel. Actually, last night I was doing a little practice spinning, and I did this on the couch, which was awesome. I just had it in front of me on the couch, and it was amazing because I could never do that with my other wheel, and it was really, really nice. So it's super versatile, easy to transport, easy to take on the go. I've never tried it, but we also offer a car adapter. So I know some people spin in their cars when they're on the move. So you can literally spin anywhere.
Or even
so I'm going to go ahead.
In an RV or when you're camping.
Yeah. It's really, I remember I was so fascinated when I first learned that there was a car adapter, because I was like, oh, that's amazing. I just imagine someone in the front seat of a car on a road trip or something spinning on their spinning wheel.
Can't stop me now.
Yeah.
And yes, Bonnie, yes, we are thinking about spinning and driving at the same time. No, we don't recommend that.
All right. So this thing does go really fast, the Whisper Junior controller. And I'm not brave enough to go full speed. So that's usually I hover around a quarter of the way to halfway. But it can be really nice to go a lot faster if you're plying, especially, you know, something that you don't need a ton of control with, just to be able to get through that a little bit quicker. So I'm going to turn it up. And it's really quiet, which is really nice. And then you're just drafting. And so you can kind of control it, like if you want to go faster, like that, super fast, or you can go a little bit slower, and I'll get that twist out. And so this is just some merino, and I'm not sure if you guys have maybe heard of this shop, but there's an Etsy shop called BZB Fibers, and she has a really amazing Etsy store with a ton of fiber. She has a lot of merino that's dyed, but she also does some really cool blends with little silk noil nubs in there and everything. So definitely want to give a shout out to her since I am spinning some of her fiber today. But just slowly.
Now I'll try to find the link real quick.
Yeah.
Ups from her before. I got some coriander and real nice.
Yeah, it is super nice. I think the other one I have from her, it's maybe called gelato or something, but it's kind of like a dusty pink color, and it has some silk noil nubs in it. It's really cool. It's kind of like a speckly, tweedy looking roving. It's really awesome. I'm almost afraid to spin it. I just keep saving it because I don't know what I would use it for. But yeah, and she ships super fast. She's really great. I really like her a lot.
But yeah, there looks like some great colors in her shop. I just put the link in the chat. Thank you.
Perfect.
I was looking for
of course.
New places for fiber and yarn, etc. So would you say this would be good for a beginning spinner or somebody who's never spun before, as well as somebody who has maybe had a treadle spinning wheel? Or
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool because I would say probably 2/3 of the people that we get messaging us, like on our Etsy or anything, are people who are first-time spinners and they're wanting to buy a wheel. So that is always super exciting to us and me personally, because I'm like a huge fiber nerd. So I would talk somebody's ear off about fiber and yarn and fiber animals and all the things all day. So it's really cool. It's a super great wheel. I would say if you are used to like a treadle wheel, or some kind of traditional wheel like that, it does have an adjustment period, just because I know for me personally, I was not used to not using my feet, and so I kept wanting to like start and stop with my foot. But yeah, I think especially if you're starting out and you don't have that background treadle muscle already memorized to be doing that when you're spinning, I think it's a great beginner wheel, and really you have a ton of control, especially with the speed, but it's just really nice and smooth, and it's super quiet. So it's got, all the things. Yeah. Yeah,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, is there a foot pedal like with a rheostat so you can control the speed similar to like a sewing machine?
So we don't have a foot pedal right now. We're working on, we actually have been working on kind of like whenever the company was originally purchased, there was a foot treadle for the e-spinner that was kind of like, I guess if you have ever done any sewing on a sewing machine, it was basically kind of like that type of
like a start-stop? Or like you'd have to hold
like
it to keep it going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you held it down like you would a sewing machine. And we are still working on it. We kind of took it down for the time being we want a little bit more sensitivity in the speed control, but we do have a whisper stop, which is kind of like a bonus accessory it's shaped just like this, and it has a button. So it's like an immediate start and stop that a lot of people will put on the floor and just press it with their foot whenever they stop and go. But some people just leave it on the table too. So really just up to you. But I found that, because I kind of thought that I wanted a foot pedal at first, just because I was used to treadling on a regular wheel. But really, once you get used to using your hands, I feel like it's hard to go back.
I think the other way is hard too, where you have to hold it down to keep it going.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of a turn off too, because it's then you gotta want to lean on something.
There's a lot of thought going into it.
But I agree with you there, because I admit mine has a foot pedal to it, but it's a start-stop foot pedal. So I admit I just tap it to turn it on or off. But my dial is normally like right there. My hand is, because you have to feed the wheel with your hand right there anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
get
it's
what you're
kind of
saying,
nice
Ellen. Yeah.
just to once you get. That's what I was saying. If you're used to a treadle wheel, there's definitely an adjustment period. But once you get that down, it's so nice to just be able to do everything with your hands. And I just reattached a new yarn. And so another good thing about all of our wheels, not just the Excelsior, but the bobbins that we have hold a ton of fiber compared to a traditional wheel. I know before, I think mine maybe held 2 ounces, definitely less than 4. Yeah, it didn't hold a ton of fiber, but ours hold 18 to 20 ounces on a standard wheel, which is an insane amount. And then if you have an XXL wheel, it holds up to 28. So it is a lot of fiber. And we like to joke around here that you can spin 4 8 ounces of fiber and look like you have nothing on the bobbin just because it holds so much. It holds so much yarn, which is awesome because you're not spending a bunch of time going back and forth and swapping out your bobbins and just
Fabulous.
detracting from the spinning.
And remind us again which one this is. We've had a couple people that have come in since we started.
Oh yeah.
Which wheel was this one again?
So this is the Excelsior wheel. We also have the Arrow wheel, which is our Scotch tension. Sorry, I should have mentioned this Excelsior wheel has both Irish and Scotch tension on either side. But our other wheel that is the Arrow is a Scotch tension wheel, and they're all the same size, our standard size. The only difference is just which tension setup you have on the front of the wheel. But our other one, and probably the most popular one, is the Gen 2, and that one's Irish tension. And so it's really just whichever wheel you feel comfortable with. But I do think a lot of people like to spin kind of a worsted weight yarn is typically that's the consensus from people who email into us. And so I think that's why the Gen 2 is so popular, is just that it has a lot of, it's really great for like a mid-range weight yarn. So yeah, and one thing I want to mention just in case anyone is trying to get into spinning or new to spinning, and I say this just based on my own personal struggles, but one of the hardest things for me to get used to is drafting and not letting the twist go all the way down into your fiber. So I like I've seen people do it with one hand and do like the long draw drafting, which I'm not good at, but I will say it really helps me to just kind of pinch and pull. And then I also have like a backup finger down here just in case that twist starts to creep down into the rest of my fiber. So I think once your twist goes too far, it's really hard to determine how much fiber you're putting in and keeping your weight even. I think so much of knitting and spinning in general is just the feel of it. Like knitting is a lot of tension stuff that you don't really think about, and like you just have to get a feel for it, and spinning is definitely the same way. I'll just finish up this here, and then we also have I have a couple other things to demo for you guys today. But does anybody have any questions about spinning, or is anyone here new to spinning or wanting to get into it?
And I've unmuted everyone, so if you want to say something, just unmute yourself to. Oh, don't be shy.
I know, Lindsay,
We're not a
you
shy
said you're
group.
new to spinning, right?
The husband is here in the room with me, and he's watching the video, and he's an engineer, and so he's trying. I think he's trying to build one of these in his head right now.
You might be in luck then. He could make one for you. Get a custom wheel.
Potentially. This wasn't the next thing I was going to ask him to build for me, but I'm also trying to show him, the joy of having an e-spinner too.
Oh yeah, he could get into it. You could both start spinning.
Happy Bonnie, happy life.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
Are you a knitter, Bonnie, or primarily a spinner?
I am a knitter. I have just recently, like in the past 2 weeks, started using a Tockley to spin cotton.
Oh,
because
wow.
I I don't do things halfway apparently. So, and this
I
is
don't
how
think any
far I've
crafter does.
gotten on a Tockley.
Oh
So,
wow. Yeah, I've never spun on one of those before. That's really cool.
so yeah, when you talk about drafting, working with cotton, that's my issue too. But
Yeah.
I just need to practice a whole lot more.
Well,
So,
then that's a good question you brought up, Bonnie. So what about spinning cotton and wool on all of them, or some suggested over others, or Scotch or Irish, or how does that work then with cotton or
So
plant-based
I'm
fibers?
not 100% sure on if one is better than the other, but I know
Sure.
just from my personal spinning, like the different fibers definitely draft, you know, a lot differently, especially cotton and like shorter length fibers, like alpaca or angora or something that's really fine and short. And so that definitely drafts a lot differently. But I would say for just from the wheel perspective, I kind of think the Heavenly Hand spinning wheels really handle different types of fiber really well. And a lot of people will do art yarns, so like really crazy, super fun spinning sparkle art yarns on here. And I'm doing merino right now, and it works really well. We also have an orifice reducer, so if you're doing something really fine, you might want to pop an orifice reducer in, and that gives you a lot less bouncing around in the orifice of your flyer, so just making it a little bit more smooth. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm curious now if one type of tension is better for cotton than the other, but definitely have to do some research.
Curious into that, because I know they say, I know with combing or blending of that, it does matter because you use different.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious as to that because I know wool gets the highlights like the prom queen in a way, but what about cotton and the others? You don't hear about some of them
Yeah.
as much. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I used to work at a yarn shop back in the day, and we did a lot of I guess you'd call them vegan fibers, but it was like tencel and cotton and I'm trying to think, like bamboo was one, I think. And so it's really interesting to kind of see what the difference is between those. So if you ever have a chance to kind of test out a bunch of different types of fiber, it's really interesting. Bamboo is so squeaky. It's like a squeaky fiber, and it's really smooth. But yeah, it's interesting how many things you can make fiber out of, really.
Yeah, and now too viscose, they're bringing out paper.
Uh-huh.
I'm super curious. And there's a banana something, banana.
there's a banana fiber,
Yeah.
but then hemp is also kind of the new kid on the block. Well, not necessarily new, but
Yeah,
a
making a
lot of
comeback.
Yeah.
really making a comeback, but just trying to make it be like it's becoming the ultimate renewable, quick growing resource that doesn't turn the ground into a dust bowl
Footprint.
either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's definitely a lot to be we could talk a long time for sure about kind of like the sustainability of making sure you want to get sustainable fibers and everything, but I do hope that not that I don't love wool, because I am a big advocate, but I do think it's really interesting that there are a lot more options for fiber. I feel like 20 years ago, probably people would look at you like you were crazy if you walked in somewhere and wanted a bamboo, tencel bamboo blend of roving. And so I just think it's really interesting how far we've come on the fiber front, I guess.
Yeah. I think the exploration, cool. I guess.
Yeah. I feel like, especially now that everything is trying to be a lot more sustainable, then it's really, people are scrambling to try to do, more sustainable things, because that's what people want. So it's really cool. And it's really nice for us we try to be as sustainable as possible here too, but one of the nice things about living in North Carolina, in a really big furniture capital, is we do have a lot of local lumber mills near us. And so all of our wood comes just from right down the street, and it's really nice. Like, we have kind of like a whole craft. They don't know that they're contributing to the craft world, but we have like a little local craft community here of people that help us with getting these wheels out and getting them made and everything. So it's pretty special. And so just real quick before I move on to our blending boards, which I'm really excited about, I just want to show you guys how easy it would be if you wanted to switch to the Irish side. So all you do is that, and that's it.
Oh.
So yeah, super easy. And then you just, you'll take your drive band. Yeah, and it's like, ta-da! So you take your drive band and move it into the groove on your bobbin. And then once you're over here, let's see, you just turn this knob here on the side, and that adjusts your tension.
Okay.
Yep. And then you don't even really need this tension string on anymore. So this controls the tension for you, and then this is giving you your power off your bobbin here.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's it. That's our Excelsior wheel. This is super fun. And then
that was relatively easy. I thought that'd be a lot more involved than that.
I should have built it up a lot more and made it really complicated.
And like magic fingers.
Really impressed. Yeah. And so we also have these orifice hooks too, which are really cute, and we do a lot of colors. So that's one thing that's been really fun is we have a whole rainbow of colors because we 3D print all of our bobbins. And so since we do 3D print them, we kind of have creative control over the colors that they come in and stuff. So we do a lot of like collections for holidays and everything. So last year at Halloween, like we did a glow in the dark bobbin and a purple and orange. So we try to get festive over here.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to bring out is our blending board, which is super exciting. So our blending board. Oh. Yeah, they're so fun. I feel like after Taylor did the carding thing yesterday, we really went wild and we just wanted to like blend everything all the time.
I feel like that doesn't get enough attention. Like if I'd have known, I think a little bit sooner, that was like crayons and paper, like gone wild with fiber, I would have jumped to it sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, I don't know how many of you guys were here for Taylor's demo yesterday, but when she demoed on the hand carder, it's a lot more, trying to think of a good way, like you're not painting as much with the fiber as you would with a blending board. So I'll kind of do a quick demo, but I really think if you're doing if you want something really specific, I guess in your layout, a blending board is a great way to kind of make sure you get all of the pieces exactly where you want them, and then, blend it together. And a blending board is great if you have a lot of fiber, and this is probably going to be more for smaller projects or more personal size things that you don't have to get a whole carder for. So just a couple quick things. On the back, this is our kind of like a little kickstand that we have, and it has a little twist top that you can turn, and it screws in all these different places, so you have a lot of options as far as where you want that to be. This angle is great if you're wanting it to kind of like prop up on a table like this, or sometimes if you're not on a table, you can turn it sideways like this and then hold it between your legs, and that kind of gives you like some resistance so it's not sliding all over the place if you're holding it in your lap or something like that. So I'm going to move this up just a smidge so you guys can see a little bit better.
I believe you were interested in a blending board, weren't you, out of curiosity? So feel free if you have any questions.
I've been this on Etsy for some time now.
I was going to say, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, please ask if you have any questions.
I'm really curious about the finger holes, how those work. Because that's the only blending board I've ever seen with finger holes.
Oh, yeah, the finger holes are awesome. So I'm glad you brought that up. We'll definitely get to that. And so a lot of times when you are, doing your roll logs or anything like that, it's nice you have these finger holes to kind of grip and pull your way up the board. It gives you a little bit more strength. So I have some fibers here. You might recognize some of these colors from yesterday. So we're just going to do like a quick little gradient of these pinks. I wish we had some spinning sparkle. We can get really wild with that.
I'd be okay with that.
But really, I don't know. It's hard to find in just regular places. I feel like you have to get it on the internet. So
yeah, that's true.
It's hard to come by. So all you're going to do is you just wipe it down the mat. And this one has 72 teeth per inch. So it's kind of in a good range if you wanted to do, like something coarser or even a finer weight fiber. You've got, a lot of options with this amount of teeth.
So you're just kind of dragging it down the lines.
And so you're just kind of brushing it on there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That is a pretty color.
It's super fun.
I agree with Taylor said that she wasn't really down with the pinks, but I really like that pink too. Yeah.
I did too. I think it's the spring. Like sometimes in the spring, I'm just like, I want all these bright colors. Normally that would not be my jam, but it is really nice. So just painting these on here. And right now I'm just doing stripes. So, it doesn't look like anything super crazy, but if you have like a different kind of yarn, something small that you wanted to just kind of blend in, you could just do little spots and dots and kind of sprinkle it throughout your mat here. And so just getting that on there. Okay. Yeah, it's like a very soothing. I feel like we need a fiber ASMR channel, like the noises of of blending boards and carders and spinning wheels.
I don't know. There's something about it. It's just stress relieving. I don't know. It's bizarre. I don't know.
It's stress relieving until it's not, and then you're like, I never want to do this again, and it's driving me nuts.
It's almost like the thrill of like opening that fresh box of Crayola crayons that you smell. I'm the only kid that smelled that. Like,
yeah, fresh pack.
I don't know, just creativity gone wild there.
And we do have. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, do you have any secret recipe to how much you're putting in there, or just?
I kind of will just do it until the teeth get full. This looks like the Grinch. But I just kind of fill it as much, just until I think you kind of want it to be an even amount of fiber. And you can always judge that, as you go. If you were like, oh, I put a little more green in this place than I meant to, you can always go back in and add a little bit more and blend it in. So it's super relaxing.
Yeah.
And we do have all of our blending boards also come, speaking of painting with fiber, a literal paintbrush. And so you can kind of like brush that in and get the fibers down in the teeth. Just make sure
nice
they're
tool.
Yeah, it's just, you wouldn't think just a regular paintbrush makes that big of a difference, but it's nice, you don't want to press it with your hands or anything, so it's really nice to have that. I'll put a little more pink in here.
And I put the listing for the blending board in the chat in case anyone would like to check it out. There's quite a few people on Etsy that have it in their cart already.
Oh yeah, it's very popular, which is exciting for us. Like we go through a lot of blending boards, and just it's kind of cool, like to see what people come up with. People will send us pictures of things, and that they made, and it's really cool.
So no emails when it sells out, okay? If you miss out, that's your fault. Sometimes we get emails and it's like, I don't make them. I have to wait.
Let's see. Yeah, I feel like it's really, you were talking about just like how you decide, what goes, how much you put in there, and like I think so much of it is just like, yeah, I think this is what I want, and this is the opposite of how Taylor is. She's like very methodical with her fiber planning, and I'm just like, yeah, this looks fine, and then I'll just sling it on there. But it's kind of funny. Everyone has such their fiber method.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all different as to that's why I was curious because everybody's so different with what they do and how they change it up and it's fun. It's fun to see and then how it comes out. That's always I really like playing with that. Then to see how you can spin it and to get it in a certain way.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I know that a lot of times people even spin like rollags. I don't know.
I go through
I feel
all
like
that.
I've heard it both ways.
I'm in Georgia. We can't say anything anyway. That's how I view it.
Yeah, I'm from North Carolina, so that's how I've said it. But I always love it when people spin those if it's like a gradient, because I've seen people when they ply, they will wind them together backwards, so you have the opposite of each color, twined in there, but it's all from the same yarn and stuff. So it's really cool. There's all kinds of options.
And I also just dropped a link because I know Jennifer, you had a question earlier in the Destash Restash about hackles and combs and that, and I just put a link in the chat for that as well for Heavenly Hand Spinning. So.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we do. Should have mentioned we do have hackles and combs. We have double row hackles and single row and combs as well. So a lot of people those are really great if you have like some fiber that you're wanting to kind of tease and all those things. So we have you covered on all your fiber needs and some things that you maybe don't need, but you just want to get into.
But you're going to get it anyway, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the toys.
Cool. Okay, so now I'm going to brush this down. And so usually whenever you use a blending board, you'll have like this little, kind of looks like a skirt layer down here at the bottom that's hanging off, and that is going to be where you start winding onto the dowel to do your rolls or pull off of there. I know sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, it looks like a mess down there, but you really need that. But really just pushing this, packing it down in there.
That helps it kind of bind together, doesn't it? Pushing it down.
Just getting it as even as possible, squishing it down in there. And it's okay if all of your fibers aren't perfectly even across the board. I feel like I can be hard on myself about, oh, they're not all the same, or I'll see. I'm like that person that sees like one place in a sweater that I knit, and then I pull the whole thing apart. And I'm like, why? No one would ever see that, and especially if people don't knit. They're like, what are you talking about? But yeah,
but it's there. Yeah.
It's there. But I try really hard to not think about things that way, but it's difficult to do. So
this means you care.
Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to kind of hold this. Let's see, I'll turn my camera just so I can hold it on my knees to get a little bit of a grip here. And then they also come with dowels whenever we ship out our blending boards.
Could you move the camera down a little bit so we can see the bottom? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Sorry. You're on it. I was just making sure.
You're good.
The good part.
I will try to get a little straighter here. There we go. So, we do have the dowels that are going to help us kind of grip this here. I'll wedge a little dowel under there. Oh, it's so fluffy. And then you kind of just hold your two dowels together. And I'm going to get a little roll and then just pull a little bit. Sorry, I know the camera angle. It's like on your lap. It's a little
You're good.
Tricky. But
so you're just pulling down to kind of condense it a little bit, or I guess. So you just like draft it a little bit as you roll it. And then you kind of just hold your two dowels together. And I'm going to get a little roll and then just pull a little bit. Sorry, I know the camera angle. It's like on your lap. It's a little tricky. But so you just like draft it a little bit as you roll it.
So, and that's where these thumb holes come in handy. So I've got, if you can see here, I'm putting my thumb holes in each of the finger holes on the sides and using that when I'm drafting to just kind of like pull and give myself a place to pull that. So it kind of helps fluff up the fibers a little bit. And then you roll. Oh, I'm so excited.
That's
yeah,
pretty.
Definitely spring colors. And so just pull.
That's a great idea. That the
Yeah.
holes in that. That's wow. Yeah, that makes
It's so
a big difference.
satisfying. Yeah, I love having these holes here. And it's really cool. Like this is not in any way, necessary to the quality of the blending board, but I love that it has these little spiral holes in there, the way the wood is made. So just like it just looks cute. So not anything to do with
Well, it's attention to detail. I mean,
yeah.
You could just make a borehole, but I mean, that's.
So you're just pulling it a little bit.
If you had a stressful day, I highly recommend a blending board.
Yeah, it's so satisfying. And so, yeah, and so it also the drafting just kind of helps smooth that out, and it's gonna make it a lot easier when you try to spin.
There was a picture I saw. On the picture, it said, "I knit because it's illegal to strangle."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely those days you're like, I just need to go knit. Just go in a room and knit.
Yeah. Time out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Makes me want a watermelon candy or something.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for summer. I don't know about y'all. Although it's warm enough here now. Although I don't know about y'all, but we get days where it's almost 70, 80, and then it goes back to being like 40. And so it's
oh
still
yeah,
like
we had that this weekend actually.
bouncing a little bit.
And you might have some left up here at the top, but just kind of do some extra pulls to try to get as much as you can. And it's okay if you have some left over. But yeah, so that is your roll.
That's pretty. Oh,
yeah.
A lollipop or a popsicle. Yeah, summer popsicle.
So I'll move this out of the way. And then I usually will try to pull. This is really tight. I'll try to pull one side out and then the other. Wow, super tight.
Sometimes I use my brush end and tap it down.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes I do it really tight by accident, or it's been a bad day.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where the tension comes in. Let's see.
Sometimes it just gets it started. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but
we won't judge.
No, thank you.
We'll just try scooting it down. But
or maybe tap it on the table. Sometimes might help. I don't know. Sometimes it's just seems like a little bit of that.
There we go.
I don't know, for me. I probably need to do mine looser, but I'm not a specialist. I'm just a addicted fiber person.
All the specialists have to start somewhere, though. So. Yeah, that was super tight, which is good. I mean, you want it to be tight when you're spinning it, but it can take a minute to work that off. But we're moving now, so we're good. So now, pull that off, and you're ready to spin.
Ooh.
You got your little watermelon rainbow there.
You can make it any color you want. I love that.
I know. I can't remember if I showed these earlier, but we made these yesterday too after
look at that.
Taylor's demo, and I spun some last night, and they're so fun. And I forgot how much fun it is to spin from these.
And remind us again, what types of wool are in that, or sheep breeds, etc.
And this one was just merino, and then these purple and green ones are this is some Corriedale down here, and then these two purples are Corriedale. This is a little bit of alpaca, and then some merino down here. So definitely it's like a choose your own adventure, depending on which color you start with as far as spinning, because they have such different feels when they spin. But and then you can see super easy to just pick that off. So and then it comes out and you're all good. So that is our, oh, we do have one down in here. But yeah, so that's our blending board. Yeah, there's always one that wants to hang out down there. And then I know that the theme for this Camp Yarnsie is organization. And so I did want to touch on a few things just real quick in the time that I have left. So one thing that I personally love, just for keeping things organized, is a Lazy Kate. And so we do have the Lazy Kates here that we make. And this one is actually a new one. So you guys are getting a exclusive. We're getting ready to start selling the walnut versions of these. Typically, we usually just use oak. And so now we're kind of getting a little fancy. We're doing a little walnut one. So if you want a darker wood, or our wheels also come in different shades of wood or different types of wood. And so if you want a walnut Lazy Kate to match your wheel, you got you covered.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. And so these are really great just for storing and organizing your yarn, because I feel like it's really easy to just have your bobbins like thrown down everywhere and they're like rolling all over the place. And so it's kind of nice to just be able to keep these on here, and then it looks like a really nice little case. But you can also, these are what I typically like to use if I'm plying yarn, because it does offer we have a tension band that comes with this as well, but it does offer some resistance, so that way when you're plying, your bobbins aren't just flying all over the place. But
getting tangled up and stuff.
Yeah,
that's a yarn fight.
Yarn catastrophe. But yeah, so I really like this as a way to just kind of keep my bobbins organized, and it's also multi-purpose and everything. So, keep it, store it. And another one of my, I guess it's not really a tip, but there are a lot of great resources online to find kind of like a print your own yarn label. And so I use that. Yeah, so if you just Google like free print your own yarn label, there's a lot of really great resources for that you can download, and it basically just looks like a yarn tag, but especially if it's hand spun, so you don't have those fancy yarn store labels to tell you how much yardage you have and what it's made out of. And I know for me, I'll spin something and then put it away, and then years later I'll be like, I don't even know what this is, where it came from, or anything like that. So they're really great. You can write, how much yardage you have, what the fiber content is, what the weight is, if you know, and that way when you're planning projects, or I know Ravelry has the option to add your stash in on your accounts and things like that, so you know what you're spinning with or what you're knitting with or any type of fibering. It's a really great way to just kind of stay organized and make sure you know what you have, how much you have, and what you can do with it.
Totally agree with you, because I know as soon as I use the Nitty Knotty to get mine off of my bobbin sometimes, and then I go through all of that, and then you think I would count it and see how much yarns I have before I even do anything else, but then it's like, no, but yeah, having that tag would make it really helpful, because I could just tag it then, and then I can look back on it and know exactly what it is and how many yards.
Yeah, we had we used to have those when like I mentioned the Spinzilla thing earlier, our team had little tags that we had made. And so whenever we would finish something, we would just tag it. And I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe I've never thought about this before with any spinning stuff, but it was really great.
We did have a question, Lauren.
Yeah.
Hillary asked if you can show us how to clean the board, the blending board.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. If you can.
No, you're fine.
Yours. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
And I'll grab the link to the
So one of the great things about being able to do Strouch and Heavenly Hand spinning stuff is that we carry all types of fiber equipment for any, across the board. And so if you were here for Taylor's demo, she used this Doffer brush, which Strouch makes, which is really great. And it just picks it right out. So
okay.
it's like and so I'll just do like a you had like a little bit of fiber in there, you could do that, and then come in with your doffer brush. Just like that.
That makes it really nice and easy.
Yeah, super easy. And, you know, we're all under the same roof, so it's kind of nice. We can share our, you know, all of our products working together and card the yarn on one and then spin it on the other. So it's really nice. But I would definitely recommend, if you're wanting to clean, you know, just like a deep clean, because usually a lot of the time when you're pulling, it could have just been me, but it will all come out as you roll it up the board, and you'll just have like these little frizzly fuzzlies at the top here that you pull out. But if you ever need to do just like a super deep clean, definitely recommend just using like a doffer brush or something like that. It'd be the same thing that you would use to clean out a drum carder or, you know, any kind of bigger carding equipment that you might have. They're super helpful.
And I'm going to attach that link.
Yeah.
In the chat also for the brush.
Yeah.
Because Kathleen wanted to know if, I know that's the Strouch Fiber Company's brush, correct? Kathleen asked, are those going to be available on the Etsy shop? I'm assuming the brush, Kathleen, or do you mean the blending board brush? Okay. I just attached the link. Make sure it went through there.
Yeah. So right now, we're actually, this is just in the last month or so, we're in the process of kind of merging our two companies together because originally they were separate. And so we're working on getting everything on one website. So just for right now, I would say just this month really, we're going to be on two separate websites. So we'll have the Etsy page for Heavenly Handspinning, and then StrouchFiberEquipment.com for all of the Strouch stuff. But hopefully we're hoping by the end of this month, we're all going to be under one virtual home on the internet, and all of our products are going to be available in one place. So
And
just
that-
kind of
that-
like a...
Which, sorry, is that going to be? Which website is that going to be?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
StrouchFiberEquipment.com. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. To make
So,
sure. I was like, that's what I thought, but I just want to make
sorry.
sure before I was like, here you go.
Yeah, no, it was just like the timing of Camp Yarnsie was kind of in the midst of our merge. So right now they're separated, but we are going to have them both on StrouchFiberEquipment.com. And that way you can get everything you need.
I'm going to drop that right here. If y'all, and I know it's going to show me, whoops. There we go. Wait a second. I'm sorry, Lauren, to hold you up.
No worries.
But thank you for showing that. I know we have a few minutes left. Would you like to
Yeah.
get to the giveaway?
Yes. So I'm
would you
glad
like
you
to
asked that. Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, I want to do it at the end so that we can build the
was fun.
suspense.
Does anyone have any questions or anything too, by the way? Sorry to y'all.
It's all so
So,
cool.
Isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, we think it's cool too. I feel like it's like super exciting. We get to do all this fun stuff with the fiber all the time, and we're testing, which really just means we get to play with fiber and roving and yarn all the time. So it's really
You ever need
cool.
testers, there's some of us around here that, we might be guinea pigs for that, Maybe medical testing, no, but spinning, maybe. Yeah, we're okay with that.
So today, our giveaway, which is very exciting, and I would say one of our most popular things from Heavenly Handspinning, is the little Maggie wheel. And then I might have Taylor switch our camera over just so you guys can see a different view, which we recently have started doing cool designs in here, and this will be one of the first designs that are going out. So
That's
really
pretty.
cool. Yeah, and it's nice because you can kind of take it apart, and it doesn't always have to be put together. So there you go. But yeah, it's like hypnotizing you.
Yeah.
I
to
like
spin
that.
more, so.
Because no one ever thinks about the design actually as it's spinning.
Yeah. And so then you'll have your little whirl up top too that you'll spin on kind of like a regular dowel, but it just spins. And we have a little bearing down here. And so this is a kick spindle. So it works just the same way as a drop spindle or anything like that. But you can use it, with your hand sitting down on a table, or you can stand up and literally kick it with your foot, and it spins. And so it's a good way to exercise. What I always tell myself, you can kind of, this is your exercise for the day, is you're going to stand up and kick this spindle while you spin your yarn. So,
I'm also going to put a link to the instructional videos that they have on their website as well. That show how
that'd be
work.
great. Thank you. But yeah, so in order for us to give away, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys our email address, and the first person to send us an email for the Meggie giveaway gets the Meggie. So it is a race to the finish line, and our email is info@heavenlyhandspinning.com. So if you guys are typing really quick, and then we will ship this out to you, I guess Monday. Tomorrow's Monday, but once our mail is running again, we'll ship this out, and you'll be addicted to kick spindling from now on. But yeah, super fun. I had never done a kick spindle or anything before working here, and I didn't even really, I had never heard of it, but it's really fun and a super different way to spin fiber. So really exciting.
I think y'all should come up with an addiction label, like a warning, like a definite and clear.
Yeah.
Like
there's all kinds of I don't know. I feel like I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna just try this, and then a week later I've bought 15 different accessories for a new hobby that I just started. So it's definitely one of those things. Oh, Taylor.
That's good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate getting to both of you and Thorne and Taylor. And thank you so much for going through all of your different products and the drum carding yesterday. Thank you. And also for going through the spinning. We really appreciate it.
Good. I hope it was helpful and gave you guys a good chance to either find new hobbies or expand on current ones, or anything else. But we're here, and if you want to check out our websites or shoot me an email, I will be the person emailing you back. So if you want to say hey, then feel free to shoot over an email or check us out online.
Thank you. Appreciate it.